Have you ever looked at the Pilates Cadillac or Tower and thought, that is a little interesting, maybe a little scary, or maybe you thought something else? I've heard it all. But here is the deal. Don't let this piece of equipment scare you, because it's actually great for beginners and those people who are trying to get connections to their practice to make their mat and reformer practice even stronger. So let's talk about intro beginner exercises you can do on your Cadillac or Tower.
Welcome to OnlinePilatesClasses.com, the most supportive Pilates-loving community across the globe. Enjoy new weekly classes from our amazing teachers. Download the OnlinePilatesClasses.com app today.
Hi, I'm Lesley Logan, co-founder of OnlinePilatesClasses.com. I've been doing Pilates since 2005, but I didn't get on a Cadillac until about 2009. And let me tell you, I looked at the piece and I thought, this is a little interesting. I don't know about it. I mean, I understand if that's how you feel. So it's called the Cadillac. The rumor is, the myth is, because some client said it's the piece with all the options, just like the Cadillac car. For those of you who don't know what that is, me either, look it up. But it's often also called a tower, a wall unit. You might even see that there's similar exercise you can do on something called a springboard. But other people will call it a trap or trapeze table, because you could do trapeze work on it, right? So that's what, if you're a circus performer, you understand. Here is the deal. Something you need to know about Pilates is the mat work is a great place to learn any of the movements, because you're on a mat, it's quite accessible. Nothing is moving around. But when you are truly wanting to learn connections your body is missing, the mat is going to show you just how hard things are and how many connections you're missing. And that's where the trapeze Cadillac Tower table come in. Because it's a sturdy piece of equipment, it's a great place to learn the things you need to improve your mat and reformer practice, because the platform doesn't move, but we have the springs to help us find our connections. So let's talk about beginner exercises that could work for you. What is the Cadillac? Well, as you can see, it is a large piece of equipment. Not a lot of studios have space for this or have the ceiling height, but it's a large piece of equipment. It's very sturdy and it's elevated off of the ground. So it's often used in a lot of rehab facilities and things like that, because it's easier for a lot of people to get onto and sit down on. But it's stable. It's not going to move. Like, it's pretty heavy duty. And if yours isn't, we have to talk about it. That makes me nervous. This is so hard to move. It requires a couple of us to go an inch at a time. That's what you want. Not every studio, as I mentioned, has the space for the height of this Cadillac. And so that's why they'll often have a wall unit or a tower option on their reformer. It's different from a reformer in that this platform isn't moving. So if you struggle with balance and coordination, this is where you want to be, okay? The reformer is going to definitely challenge that. And it can be really great if you're recovering from an injury, you are needing to work a little more asymmetrical movement. This is the place where you're going to find these connections in a stable space, because the ground underneath you isn't going to move. So we're just working on the movements your body is going to do rather than trying to do those movements with a moving platform. It's really great for beginners because there are several exercises that can help you find a closed chain experience. Closed chaining meaning there's something for your hands to touch or something for your feet to touch with springs to support your body. If you are struggling with quad dominant legs on your mat, your hip flexors are overworking, doing the leg springs is going to help you understand how to incorporate more muscles and connect to your center while doing it, so you can interpret those exercises without the springs. Really important to give yourself a try. And in an ideal world, every new client would not just do mat or reformer, but they'd find their way to a tower or a wall unit, a springboard or a Cadillac to get some of these exercises in, so they can learn the connections they need a little bit faster. All right, if you are still trying to figure out all the different types of equipment, because there are a lot and it can be confusing, we have a really great video where we break down every single one and we talk about the best ones for your home. So check it out here. All right, let's get into my favorite exercises for beginners on your Cadillac or Tower. So roll down with the roll back bar. Yep, I know. The Pilates names are very fun, but when you use the roll back bar, and I specifically love ones that have a roll down bar that actually moves. But when you do this exercise, you get to start and challenge yourself in a tall spine, and then you get to roll down the mat, and it allows you to see what parts of your back you like to skip. Which parts of your body come up in a chunk? It's a really informative exercise. It's also a nice way to ground in to your Pilates practice. So it can be a delicious warm-up exercise. In fact, several of these exercises I'm going to give you are going to be great to do before you start your mat because it really does ease your body in if you're someone who needs that. It does challenge your reach of your legs into the poles. It will reveal if you're not doing that, so it gives you some feedback about what you need, and it helps challenge your arm-back connection. Those are important things no matter what level of practice you're at, but when you're a beginner, those can be difficult to learn, and the roll down with the roll back bar is going to give you the challenge you need with a little extra stretch and massage on the way. All right, these next two kind of go hand in hand. The setup is very similar. So it's single leg spring. It's where the spring is from across. I love this exercise, especially if you're new to leg springs, but truly, even as you get more advanced, for me, it really helps me connect my legs to my center, and it challenges your outer hip connection. So again, my hip quaddy people, this is for you. It's going to turn your seat on, what I like to call your THAS. If that's going well, then as a beginner, you could switch into leg springs. Now, the leg spring series has a lot of options. We have a whole tutorial list here on our channel. They are in our flashcards. But when you're a beginner, I love for you to do the frog prep. It is a prep, but it really does help you understand a movement we do a lot in our Pilates practice that turned out and in that you'll feel in your double leg stretch, in your footwork, in your backstroke, in your seal, and you're rolling like a ball. Very important connection that you'll learn. I love doing the big circles. Sometimes the little circles, depends on how those big circles go. You also will enjoy sometimes some people can do the walking really well if they're not hypermobile in their knees. If they are, then we'll undo the beats, which will help you get that inner thigh, outer thigh connection that we need. It's going to balance some of your imbalances. So doing those, it's going to warm up the leg muscles, but more importantly, because of the leg spring, for those people like myself who tend to rely on the front part of our legs, it really does give you the back part of your legs, so the muscles in your legs that are a little bit weaker, permission to show up so that you can use it in your mat and reformer practice. All right, let's talk about the arm spring. So I mentioned the arm back connection with the roll down exercise. And after you get your legs turned on to your center, we have to get your arms connected to your center. And here's why. I tend to find that people feel that the movements of the arms in Pilates are a bit choreographed versus connected. And the reality is we want your arms connected. We want when your arms lift up overhead that they lift your upper body off of your pelvis. When they reach over to the side that they take you that way. And so understanding the arm springs is going to be so helpful. One, for my peeps who spend way too much time over your phone and computer, that's everyone, including me. It's really great for your posture. It helps you really understand how the arms move from your back versus just from the front. You'll also feel your entire center get involved because even though it's called arm springs, it's a body exercise and it will go over up, down, circles, out and in, and some little tricep presses, which are really nice and challenging and connecting to your back, which are all the different types of movements your arms will do as you do a Pilates practice. All right, I want to wrap this up with push through with the push through bar. This one for beginners can be tricky. Here's the deal. If the roll down with the roll back bar and the arm springs didn't go well, this is going to show you every reason why that happened. However, hear me out. It is a really cool exercise for helping you understand flexion with the arm back connection and the leg reach. So I hope you do this after you've done the other ones because I want you nice and warmed up. I want you understanding how your arms move from your back, but you'll start to realize as my body rounds this way, how do my arms reach forward without my shoulders coming into my ears? When I roll up to seated, how do I reach the bar up without hanging in my armpits and going into extension? How do I use my legs to lift taller? It is its own fun challenge. And honestly, it's like an advanced exercise that you must learn as a beginner because it takes you your whole Pilates practice to really juice it out. Now, please be mindful whenever you're using the push-through bar, that bar has a spring attached to it. Never let it go until that spring is closed. But if you keep that safety in mind and you're working from your center, this exercise is delightful, delicious, and if you're lucky, some teacher will come over and give you a nice extra stretch at the end. If these exercises intrigue you and you want to create your own beginner intro workout on a Cadillac or a Tower, I highly encourage you to watch this video I did. I go live on Sundays answering people's questions and I dug into specific questions just like this, and all of those tips will help you no matter what your Pilates level is based on the workout you're trying to create on the Cadillac or Tower. All right, I have one more exercise for you. However, it's not one you can do on a tower or a wall unit of some kind. Everyone is going to want to put, Lesley, I do it with this, and you're going to put in the comments. And I'm going to challenge you that for a beginner, it's not going to be ideal. And the exercise is called breathing. So it requires the trapeze from the Cadillac, requires the rollback bar, and it is a full body exercise that really helps you understand the breath in your practice, challenges you to coordinate your arms and limbs and torso at the same time, and helps you understand articulation and reach through your limbs, controlling the springs, controlling the movement. Oftentimes people are too fast with the arms because the springs are winning, and they're too slow with the body. So it really helps them understand that complete coordination of mind and body so that they can take on more advanced exercises, not just on the Cadillac or Tower, but on the Reformer and mat as well. It's a great exercise. My teacher, Jay Grimes, gave it to me for a specific reason about my elbow. I give it to a lot of clients who are struggling to coordinate all the movements, because if you can learn it there, you can apply it to anything. So I highly recommend doing it when you have access to a Cadillac, and when you don't do it. So why is a Cadillac so supportive? Well, as I mentioned, it is a heavy-duty piece of equipment. That's what you want, especially when you're someone who is worried about balance, injuries, things like that. You're learning new things. The springs are nice and heavy, but you can also use lighter springs. So if the leg springs are too heavy, you can use the arm springs in place of them. If the arm springs are too heavy, you can use the rollback bars and springs in place of that. So it really does meet the person who's coming to the practice more than any other apparatus can. And here's the deal. In Pilates, the bigger the equipment, the more accessible it is to people with special needs or are beginners to a practice. The smaller the landing space, the more advanced it's going to be. Who is the Cadillac great for? Any Pilates lover out there. Look, I love how popular Pilates is becoming around the world, but what bothers me is how much the emphasis on one piece of apparatus. That isn't going to work when the system needs to work together. So the Cadillac is especially great for beginners and those people recovering from an injury or some sort of ailment or just an imbalance. Very, very helpful for teaching those connections. But the more advanced you are going into your practice, the more you're going to want to make sure you've had experience with the Cadillac. There are so many different exercises that will teach your body what it needs to advance on the Reformer. You want to do some standing stuff on the Reformer, you're absolutely going to want to experience the standing arm springs. You want to be doing rolling exercises or headstands on the Reformer, you want to learn them here. I promise you that. You want to do advanced stuff in your MAC practice, the springs here are going to help. So the Cadillac is great for everybody. Do not, just because I'm doing this video doesn't mean it's only for beginners. It is for any Pilates lover wanting to actually get the most out of their practice. If you want to hear more comparisons about the Cadillac and the Reformer, we've got a great video where I break it down right here to help you pick the right thing for you. The best way to get started is to find a studio where someone has been comprehensively trained on the equipment to teach you. Look, a lot of places will have classes on the Tower class or a Springboard class. That's great. That's a great place to start if you can't do a one-on-one. However, it is nice to incorporate private sessions on the other apparatus so that you're getting the exercises on it that you need to progress the practice you have on other pieces of equipment. That would be ideal. If you don't have that, of course, if you have access to a Cadillac in your own space, finding tutorials like I have and exploring those in your body, asking questions here on the channel is great. If you're an OPC member, we do a 45-minute Tower class every single month, and it's blended and combined to understand how it works with the same theme on the mat and Reformer. That can really help you understand these exercises better. And if you're an OPC member, you can always submit a video of you doing an exercise on the Cadillac or Tower, and I can give you feedback on your form and how to level that up or down as you need. If you're unsure which springs to use, and look, there's a lot of different choices. We did a great video answering this question right here, how to choose the right springs on the Cadillac for you, especially if you're shorter. We cover all those things. Look, the Cadillac, it looks intimidating. I get it. It takes up a lot of space. And when I was building out the flashcards for the Cadillac and Tower, it really did make me cry a few times because there are so many exercises. How do I make sure that people understand it? But it is one of the most essential tools you can have in your back pocket for the Pilates practice you want to have. As I teach people Pilates, one of the things I love is to get them onto the Cadillac. All the struggles you have on the mat and Reformer, this is where you're going to find find the connections you're missing, it really does put it all together so you understand how it works. I highly recommend making sure it's part of your regular practice. And if it's not accessible at a studio near you, get a tower on your wall and do it at home. I promise you it's well worth the investment. Thank you so much. And again, at OPC, every single month we release a 45-minute tower class. If you have a Cadillac, you can apply it to that workout, but we do make sure it's accessible to anyone who has a tower so that you can get all the exercises we have designed in that class. Go to onlinepilatesclasses.com/YouTube. Thanks so much for watching.